Hey everyone, welcome to the Superhero Show. Daniel and Chris here, and this week's show is going to be based on an email from one
Rich in Kingston upon Thames. Rich writes in to say, I'd like to hear what you guys think about Bryan Cranston in the MCU. The actor recently said he'd like to play some big superhero villain in a Marvel classic, and that he would want the studio to create one from scratch. I don't know what I would do, but it would be nasty. He also then suggested that he could play X-Men villain Mr. Sinister.
Yeah. It's quite a big ask to make one specifically for him. A bit arrogant.
Yeah, Bryan. Breaking Bad's a while ago now.
So he said that a few months ago, but what we're going to talk about are 6 Marvel villains that we've yet to see on the big screen or the small screen that we'd like to see soon.
Yeah, and Mr. Sinister maybe is one we can kick off with. Yeah. Or Sinister, as he's also known. He's a good character. He's an interesting character.
Yeah.
I mean, you could see him in a future X-Men movie, especially as they've introduced Apocalypse, because Apocalypse created Mr. Sinister.
And I feel like the Fox X-Men movies are the ones that are most willing to adapt the comics.
Yeah.
Whereas Fantastic Four are kind of trying to do their own thing, and same with some of the other, like, DC stuff seems less beholden to the source material. Mm-hmm. They just did Days of Future Past, they're doing Apocalypse. Kind of makes sense.
Is he too similar to Apocalypse, though?
Hellbent on world destruction.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of villains, I guess.
Sort of, he's all about Darwinism and survival of the fittest. And
yeah.
He's got an interesting backstory, though. It's quite nasty. He was a 19th century scientist who experimented on the homeless and the downtrodden and did his kind of genetic experiments.
That kind of ties into like eugenics and the whole kind of evolutionary theory and applying it to social structures.
Yeah.
Poor, this is a heavy start to the show.
And he kills humans and mutants alike, which is something I enjoy.
Yeah. Not prejudice.
And in the top 100 IGN villains of all time, he came in at number 29. Which is actually strong in comparison to some of the other people I picked on this.
they're a bit further down. Yeah, they've used quite a lot of the strong ones. So my first pick...
I was just going to say, we're going to cast them as well.
Oh, yeah, we are.
So Bryan Cranston is a good shout.
Okay.
But I was thinking if they want someone a bit younger, a bit cooler, I'm liking Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal's good for everything.
Yeah. And we've got to get McConaughey into one of these movies sooner or later.
He doesn't want to do them, but he says like he might want to do because remember that said he was reading scripts for both Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
Apparently he was offered the role of the villain in Guardians 2.
Yeah.
He's turned that down.
Turn it down. I want to see him play a villain though.
I just want whatever villain he plays, I want to see him do sweaty cry face.
Okay.
Because I think he does sweaty cry face better than any actor.
And he has to, whatever it is, the poster, he has to lean on someone in the poster.
Yeah.
Google Matthew McConaughey can't stand up. Cool. All right, your first choice.
First pick is one that I really want to see, and I think it might be one we're getting soon, but it's not been confirmed, so I'm going to put it in anyway. It is Dormammu. Dormammu is what I think of as like one of the most powerful Marvel villains. I think he'll possibly get introduced through Stephen Strange. So we know for a fact that Chiwetel Ejiofor is playing Baron Mordo in the movie. We've seen some leaked pictures this week. He's wearing a hood and robes, and the colour scheme is very reminiscent of Mordo. But in the comic books, Mordo is kind of tapped up by Dormammu and kind of perverted.
Yep.
And I kind of think that he could be this big bad to the supernatural segment of the Marvel Universe, just as Thanos is this kind of villain behind everything in the cosmic strand. So he's incredibly powerful. You know, he can basically do anything, and I think he's a real formidable antagonist for Strange, whose powers again are equally powerful. And casting suggestion, we know Mads Mikkelsen is attached to that movie, and I'm wondering, like, he would be, I think, a brilliant choice. And I think whether they do it CG and have just the character performance capture like Thanos, they might do that, but I'd like to see Mads Mikkelsen. He looks evil.
He does. Just if you do get the role, Mads, speak clearly.
Like the first season of Hannibal.
Sorry?
What?
Subtitles. My next choice is Mysterio, legendary Spider-Man villain, who came in at number 85 on IGN's top 100 comic book villains list. Oh, you knew that?
Yeah.
You got all up here.
Like, he's a number 85, yeah.
And that's, I guess, it depends what direction they're going to go with the new Spider-Man movies, because he doesn't really have superpowers. He's a more believable villain. If they're going to sort of anchor it in the real world a bit more, kind of like Nolan did with his Batman films. You know, he was a stuntman, special effects guy, who became a villain, and he uses hypnosis and magic and things like that, powers of persuasion. So yeah, if they're going to go in a more realistic direction, he might be an interesting villain that they have, because we've seen some of these villains more than once now.
I don't need to see another Goblin.
No,
please don't do Green Goblin or Hobgoblin or any variation of a Goblin.
More goblins. Thing is, though, his costume. He's effectively got a goldfish bowl on his head.
This is the tricky
thing.
So
whoever gets the part, but it could be like Iron Man, where they don't actually have to employ Downey Jr. for that long, because a lot of it's just a robot and him inside it.
Mainly going to be in a fishbowl. Do you want the role? Yes.
So they could have someone that's really ugly.
Like, I really like Mysterio, but when you were describing it, it's like it does remind me a bit of that movie FX, The Deadly Art of Illusion.
So yeah,
could be like that.
They could cast Brian Dennehy or Brian Brown.
Yeah, Brian Brown, wasn't it? Yeah.
But
there was a sequel to that movie.
Yeah, FX2.
Is it Deadly Art?
Oh God, don't get me started. They're both quite fun movies, actually. Have you seen them?
Yeah. I quite enjoy them.
So casting that one, I was thinking about someone who's good at persuasion.
Darren Brown.
And I was thinking about Darren Brown. No, I wasn't. I was thinking about Dynamo. No, I wasn't. I was thinking about Daniel Plainview.
Who's Daniel Plainview?
In There Will Be Blood.
Oh, yeah.
The character that Daniel Day-Lewis plays. He goes around persuading people to give them their land. So
Could you imagine
Daniel Day-Lewis in a goldfish bowl?
He's already wearing it. He's been wearing it for 2 years in Italy.
And if they can't get him, I'm
this is likely.
Lower my expectations here. I'm going to go for Ben Mendelsohn.
Okay.
Have you got him?
Yeah.
Just a terrific actor. We're big fans of him here. Obviously done a superhero movie. He's in Dark Knight Rises, briefly.
Yeah.
But just sort of, I know him best probably from Animal Kingdom. He's just a terrifying presence on screen.
Yeah.
Terrifying. So yeah. Have you got a Ben Mendelsohn?
So it leads me to my next pick, entirely unrelated, is again another supernatural Marvel villain, and that is Nightmare. Again, like a lot of the supernatural villains, has incredible powers, kind of omnipotent, omnipresent. But I just think if you're going to do, they talked about this taking them into a more kind of horror influence aspect of the universe. What better than a character called Nightmare?
Yeah.
Who can alter reality. And my casting suggestion would be Ben Mendelsohn. I don't know if you know Ben Mendelsohn.
Who is he?
He's a really good actor. I think I know him best from Animal Kingdom.
Oh, yeah, the Australian crime drama. Yeah, very, very good.
He's in... we're big fans of him here.
We are, aren't we? We bring him up all the time.
He's also in Bloodline as well.
Yeah.
I can just imagine him in the role. Like, he is... Like you say, he's terrifying screen presence.
Intense.
Yeah.
Intense is the word I'd use to describe him.
Yeah.
Is he as intense as MODOK?
Well, yeah, he's a bit different.
Do you know where MODOK came in IGN's top 100 villains of all time?
I don't know. What would we say?
Number 100.
Number 100. I'd say probably 99.
He's a mental organism designed only for killing.
Yeah.
Brilliant acronym.
Yeah.
So he's a living computer, he's a technician that's turned into a living computer with a giant mutated head, tiny little body, so he has to hover around. So he does look ridiculous, but I want to see that on screen.
I would love to see them pull that off.
He's fought pretty much all the Avengers, so he could slot into one of those movies at any point.
I wonder if the mechanical aspect, if they were to do it, to bring it in through an Iron Man 4 or something like that, it would need to be more one of these technology-based characters.
Yes. Yeah, and he's got mental powers. The trouble with it is he could be far too easy to mock.
Yeah.
So you need an actor that you're going to take seriously.
Well, this kind of villain they did, and he wasn't the main villain of the movie, but he was a presence in it, and it was one of those ones where you think that's pretty far out to do. They did Emile Zola, what's the name of the actor?
Toby Jones.
Toby Jones played.
Who I always see on the tube.
And they did him as a robot computer where his brain was kind of encased in all these this big server farm. That's a way that kind of works in that movie. I wonder how they could do MODOK, because I don't think you could just do it like for like. It just wouldn't sit right, I don't think.
Well, you need I think, an actor that it's not easy to mock, that it's not easy to laugh at.
Someone with a big head.
Someone with a big head.
But you wouldn't want to mock him for having a big head.
And a small body.
Yeah, who's that?
Stephen Graham.
He's got a big head. Yeah.
Best known as Al Capone in Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah.
Or as Combo in This Is England for UK viewers.
Yeah.
I like Stephen Graham for that part.
I think every time now I watch This Is England, I think MODOK.
Or
just at the end of that, the second one, it's MODOK, yeah.
So you heard it here first, Graham MODOK.
Brilliant. Okay,
you got a final one?
Final one. Spider-Man has returned to the MCU.
He has.
And the Spider-Man movies, like a lot of the other movies that are not within the MCU, kind of very freely adapt storylines. I wonder, now that Spider-Man's back and he's got his own standalone movie coming, they might look back at the great Spider-Man stories for something to adapt. And I think generally considered one of the best storylines is Craven's Last Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Craven is a pretty silly villain. He's a big game hunter, and he goes around shooting stuff, and he realises that there's no greater hunt than trying to take down Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And it's a really dark story. Spoilers, but it's been out for a while. Like, he thinks he kills Spider-Man, he buries him, he takes Spider-Man's suit and starts pretending to be Spider-Man. And it has a really dark ending where he realises there's nothing else to achieve, and he commits suicide.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a brilliant casting choice for that character would be Joel Edgerton. Because I just recently watched The Gift.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to spoil that movie because that came out more recently. He's, again, intense, terrifying, has presence.
Yeah.
Kind of like him, but wary of him, but also a man with a plan. I'm not going to say anything more, but a man of meticulous planning. So I think he'd be a really good choice.
Could I suggest an Australian alternative?
Yeah.
For the role, John Jarratt.
Who's John Jarratt?
He played Mick in Wolf Creek.
Oh,
come on, come on.
Well, we might,
Or just put Mick from Wolf Creek in a superhero movie.
He's going to say Crocodile Dundee.
No. All right, that's that. Any feedback?
One piece of feedback.
Uno.
Along the lines of villains. This is from Hiran. Hiran says, we know that Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage and Iron Fist will probably team up for a Defenders TV show. However, these shows place so much emphasis on the villains. Daredevil had Kingpin and Jessica Jones, all the marketing leaning very heavily on David Tennant's Purple Man. Do you think we will eventually see a Sinister Six style team up in the Netflix shows? Which villains besides Fisk and Kilgrave do you see in a team up? So, who are the Defenders going to fight, basically, is what I think Haran's getting at. Each of these shows focuses on one kind of villain, builds them up throughout an entire series. Who are the Defenders going to face? Is it going to be a unique villain, or do you think they'll put all their villains together, like group them?
Just put me on the spot.
So, I think it'd be really cool if they could raid the back catalogue and find another villain. I can't see you getting all those villains together and having it harmonious. You'll have to spend too much time with them.
I find it hard to believe that Kingpin won't play a big part in that Defenders, though, if he's kind of in charge of something or other villainous going on. Because he's been so popular in the first show, I feel like they'll really be eking out an overarching storyline for him.
Yeah, and also we don't know how many episodes this Defender, because they termed it a mini-series, so there could be room for them to have like a couple of throwaway villains early on when they find their feet as a team before getting to the real antagonist behind everything. Now, I've seen a few episodes of Jessica Jones and David Tennant, again, very different to Kingpin. Similar to Kingpin there's a lot of psychological manipulation going on, but physically very weak. Whereas Kingpin is formidable. When Daredevil fights him, he gets his ass kicked a couple of times. Whereas you can, a lot of them would be able to punch David Tennant out easily.
Yeah.
But there's all these other elements that you have to get to him because he can have everyone protecting him through this mind control.
Yeah.
So I think be interested to see who the main antagonist is in Luke Cage as well before we can make that call.
We just don't know.
Yeah, we're just making stuff up. But that's kind of what
If someone at Netflix could tell us, though, that would be good.
If you want to send in more questions for us to make up answers to, send them to superheroshowign.com. And until next week, for everything on everything comic book related, stay right here on IGN.